Admiral Helena Blackwood stood at the viewport of the UES Sentinel, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched the distant stars. 27 years of military service hadn't prepared her for this moment. The holographic display beside her showed thousands of unknown vessels approaching from the Kuiper Belt, their formation perfect and unwavering. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Admiral, Lieutenant Marcus Chen reported, his fingers flying across the tactical interface. They're unlike anything we've ever encountered. The bridge fell silent as the main screen flickered to life. The being that appeared was humanoid in basic form, but its silver-scaled skin and phosphorescent eyes betrayed its alien nature. When it spoke, its words were perfectly translated, yet devoid of emotion. "We are the Nexari Collective. Your species has been evaluated and found insufficient. Your technological progress is inadequate. Your biological limitations are unfortunate. We offer you a choice: submit to integration into our collective or face extinction." Admiral Blackwood's jaw tightened. She'd spent her entire career protecting Earth and its colonies, watching humanity spread across the solar system, establishing outposts on Mars, mining operations in the asteroid belt, and research stations on Europa. They'd fought pirates, survived natural disasters, and overcome countless challenges. But this was different. "Director Hammond," she called to the UN Space Defense Director on Earth, linked through quantum communications. "Your orders." Hammond's holographic form appeared beside her, his face grave. "We've reviewed their capabilities, Helena. Their weapons technology is centuries ahead of ours. The Security Council is divided." "Director," Blackwood interrupted, her voice firm. "With respect, if we submit, we lose everything that makes us human. Our creativity, our determination, our free will." The Nexari representative waited, its phosphorescent eyes unblinking. Behind it, more ships emerged from fold space, their numbers growing exponentially. Commander Rajesh Patel, her tactical officer, cleared his throat. "Admiral, we're detecting energy buildups across their fleet. They're charging weapons." Blackwood straightened her uniform. "Lieutenant Chen, send this message to all Earth forces. Battle Plan Omega, authorization Blackwood 7 Delta." She turned to face the alien transmission. "We decline your generous offer. Humanity doesn't bow to threats." The Nexari's expression didn't change. "Your resistance is anticipated, yet futile. Your species' extinction will serve as a lesson to others." The transmission cut off abruptly. Moments later, the first salvos lit up space like artificial stars. "All ships, defensive formations," Blackwood commanded. "Launch our new Chimera fighters. Show them what humanity can do when pushed into a corner." The battle that followed would be remembered as humanity's darkest hour. The Nexari weapons cut through Earth's most advanced shields like paper. Orbital defense platforms, humanity's pride and strongest protection, were reduced to debris in minutes. Yet in those desperate moments, something unexpected happened. As Blackwood watched her fleet adapt and evolve their tactics in real time, she saw what the Nexari couldn't understand about humanity. Where their attacks were precise and calculated, human pilots flew with instinct and creativity. Where their strategies were perfect and unchanging, humanity's commanders improvised and adapted. "Ma'am," Chen called out, excitement breaking through his professional demeanor. "The Chimera squadrons, they're getting through. Their adaptive shield technology is working." Indeed, the experimental fighters, products of humanity's latest breakthrough in quantum field manipulation, were doing the impossible. They were landing hits, their pilots learning and adjusting to the Nexari attack patterns in real time. Blackwood allowed herself a grim smile. "Send word to Earth. Tell them to begin Project Prometheus immediately, and get me Admiral Jensen from the Mars Defense Fleet." As the battle raged around them, Blackwood knew this was just the beginning. The Nexari had made a crucial mistake. They had judged humanity by their technology alone, failing to account for their resourcefulness, their determination, and most importantly, their refusal to submit. "They want to see what we're capable of," she muttered, watching as another wave of Nexari ships approached. "Then let's show them." The next 48 hours would reshape the solar system and humanity's place in it forever. But as Admiral Helena Blackwood prepared her forces for the fight of their lives, she knew one thing with absolute certainty. Humanity would either emerge from this crucible stronger than ever, or they would go down fighting with everything they had. The war for humanity's survival had begun. The red dust of Mars swirled against the cracked dome of Research Station Olympus. Dr. Marcus Thorne pressed his hand against the reinforced glass, watching the emergency force fields flicker as they held back the planet's hostile atmosphere. 3 weeks had passed since the Nexari's first strike, and humanity was reeling. "Status report on the neural interface," he asked, turning to face his team. The underground laboratory hummed with desperate energy as scientists and engineers worked around the clock. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, his lead neuroscientist, looked up from her holoscreen, dark circles under her eyes. "The synthetic synaptic pathways are holding, but we're still seeing cascade failures in the temporal lobe integration. Human minds weren't designed to process this much data." Marcus moved to her station, studying the neural patterns of their latest test subject. Project Phoenix was humanity's desperate gambit, a revolutionary system that would allow pilots to interface directly with their ships, processing combat data at unprecedented speeds. But the human cost had been horrific. "Director Hammond is demanding results," Colonel Elena Rodriguez announced as she entered the lab, her uniform bearing the scorch marks from the latest Nexari attack. "We lost the Europa outpost this morning. 15,000 civilians. Gone." The room fell silent. Everyone had lost someone in this war. Marcus clenched his fists, remembering his own family on the Ganymede colony. No bodies were ever found after the Nexari's quantum torpedoes reduced the settlement to atomic particles. "Show me the latest test footage," he ordered, pushing aside his grief. The main screen lit up with recordings from their most recent trial. Fighter pilot Lieutenant Kai Wang had lasted longer than any previous subject. His consciousness successfully merged with his ship systems for almost 3 minutes before the neural load became too much. "Wait," Marcus said suddenly, freezing the footage. "Look at his brainwave patterns just before the cascade failure. Yuki, are you seeing this?" Dr. Tanaka leaned forward, her eyes widening. "The theta waves, they're synchronizing with the ship's quantum core frequency. How did we miss this?" Marcus felt his heart rate accelerate. "Because we were trying to force the human mind to adapt to the machine. But what if we did the opposite? Colonel, remember how Admiral Blackwood's pilots adapted to the Nexari attack patterns? They weren't just learning, they were intuiting." "You want to let the quantum core adapt to human intuition?" Colonel Rodriguez asked, skepticism clear in her voice. "The processing requirements would be astronomical." "Not if we use the quantum entanglement principles we observed in the Nexari weapons," Marcus replied, his fingers flying across the holographic interface. "Their technology is based on perfect calculation, but ours could be based on something they can't replicate, human instinct and creativity." The next 12 hours passed in a blur of calculations and modifications. The remaining scientists from Europa had brought crucial data about Nexari quantum technology, and now Marcus saw how it all fit together. They didn't need to turn humans into living computers. They needed to turn their ships into extensions of human consciousness. "Neural interface modified," Yuki announced, her voice tense with anticipation. "Quantum core reprogramming complete." Marcus looked at their volunteer, Lieutenant Jessica Chen, as she settled into the neural interface chair. She'd lost her entire squadron to the Nexari and had practically demanded to be the next test subject. "Remember," he told her, "don't try to process everything consciously. Let your instincts guide you like you're flying through a storm. The ship will follow." Jessica nodded, her eyes showing determination rather than fear. "For Earth," she said simply as the neural links engaged. The test began, and immediately Marcus could see the difference. Jessica's brainwave patterns remained stable as the ship's quantum core adapted to her neural architecture. 1 minute passed, then 5, then 15. "It's working," Yuki whispered, tears in her eyes. "The quantum core is actually learning from her intuitive responses, creating a feedback loop that enhances both human and machine capabilities." Colonel Rodriguez was already on the quantum comm to Earth Command. Director Hammond, Project Phoenix is viable. We need every quantum core we can get our hands on and every pilot willing to interface. Marcus watched as Jessica piloted the simulated ship through increasingly complex combat scenarios, her movements becoming more fluid and natural with each passing minute. For the first time since the war began, he felt something he'd almost forgotten: hope. But their breakthrough came at a critical moment. As the test concluded, emergency alarms blared throughout the facility. The Nexari had been detected approaching Mars in force, their massive fleet preparing to eliminate another human stronghold. "How long to prep the first squadron of Phoenix fighters?" Colonel Rodriguez demanded. Marcus met her gaze steadily. 24 hours for a basic neural interface, but we'll be sending pilots into combat with experimental technology we barely understand. "We don't have a choice," she replied grimly. "The Nexari gave us their answer: extinction or evolution. I say we show them option 3, revolution." As the evacuation orders sounded across Mars colony, Marcus watched Jessica Chen step confidently from the neural interface chair. In her eyes, he saw not just determination, but a fierce joy. She had touched the future of human potential, and she was ready to show the Nexari exactly what that meant. "Begin mass production," he ordered his team. "And send word to Admiral Blackwood, Project Phoenix is ready to rise from the ashes of what they've destroyed." The next phase of the war was about to begin, and humanity finally had a weapon that could match the Nexari's technological superiority. Not with perfect calculation, but with something far more powerful: the unleashed potential of the human spirit. Commander James Reeves felt his consciousness expand as the Phoenix interface synchronized with his neural patterns. The experimental fighter responded to his thoughts like an extension of his own body, its quantum core humming in perfect harmony with his brainwaves. Around him, 11 other pilots of Phoenix Squadron linked with their ships, their minds connecting through the quantum network. "Phoenix Squadron neural sync check," he broadcast, his thoughts translating instantly to communication. "Phoenix 2 synced and ready," Lieutenant Jessica Chen responded. After her successful test run on Mars, she'd become his second in command. The others reported in sequence, each voice steady despite the unprecedented nature of their mission. The massive form of the UES Hyperion, humanity's newest carrier, loomed behind them. Within its hangars, conventional fighters waited for launch, their pilots watching with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Everything hinged on this counterattack. Admiral Blackwood's voice came through the quantum comm. "Commander Reeves, the Nexari fleet has just emerged from Fold space near Titan. They're not expecting resistance. They think Mars was our last major outpost. Show them how wrong they are." James felt a fierce smile cross his face. The neural interface translated his emotional state to his squadron, sharing his confidence and determination. "Phoenix Squadron, execute combat fold on my mark." The new quantum drives, reverse-engineered from salvaged Nexari technology and enhanced by human intuition, spun up to full power. James could feel the space-time distortions through the neural link, his enhanced consciousness processing the higher-dimensional mathematics instinctively. Mark. Reality twisted, and Phoenix Squadron emerged from Fold space directly in the midst of the Nexari fleet. The enemy vessels, arranged in their mathematically perfect formation, didn't react for a crucial second. Their tactical algorithms had calculated a 0% probability of human ships achieving precision Fold space jumps. That second was all Phoenix Squadron needed. "Weapons free," James commanded. "Show them what humanity can do." The battle that followed defied conventional physics. The Phoenix fighters moved with impossible grace, their human pilots' intuition enhanced by quantum processing. Where Nexari ships fired in optimized patterns, the humans flowed like water, their movements unpredictable yet perfectly coordinated. Lieutenant Chen's fighter spun through a gap in the Nexari formation that shouldn't have existed, her quantum torpedoes finding weak points that only human creativity could identify. "Their shields adapt to mathematical patterns," she broadcast. but they can't adapt to human improvisation. James understood immediately. Through the neural interface, he shared his realization with the squadron. The Nexari's greatest strength, their computational perfection, was also their weakness. They couldn't comprehend, let alone counter, the controlled chaos of human combat instincts. "Form up on me," he ordered, his mind already plotting an impossible maneuver. "Let's show them some Earth jazz." Phoenix Squadron flowed into formation, their movements resembling more of a dance than a military operation. The neural link allowed them to coordinate with perfect precision while maintaining the unpredictability that made them so lethal. The Nexari flagship, a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with quantum energy, turned its main weapons array toward them. But before it could fire, Phoenix Squadron split apart in a 12-dimensional scatter pattern that no tactical computer could track. "Target their quantum core resonance chambers," James commanded. "Time your shots with the fluctuations in their shield harmonics." Through the neural interface, he felt his pilot's acknowledgement. They didn't need detailed explanations. The combination of human intuition and quantum processing let them understand complex concepts instantly. Quantum torpedoes struck from multiple vectors simultaneously, their timing guided by human instinct rather than mathematical calculation. The Nexari flagship's perfect defenses, designed to counter logical attacks, couldn't adapt to the artistic chaos of human warfare. The massive ship's shields collapsed in a cascade of quantum fluctuations. As secondary explosions rippled through its crystalline structure, the remaining Nexari vessels did something unprecedented. They began to retreat. "By all the stars," Admiral Blackwood's voice held rare emotion, "they're actually running." The victory was more than tactical. Through the quantum network, images of the battle were being broadcast to every human settlement and ship in the solar system. For the first time, humanity saw the Nexari flee. But James noticed something else through his enhanced perception. The retreat wasn't just about military logistics. He sensed something like fear in the Nexari's quantum communications, fear of the unpredictable, the irrational, the human. "Admiral," he reported, "I don't think they're just retreating from our weapons. They're retreating from what we represent. We've shown them something their perfect calculations can't quantify." "The human spirit," Jessica added, her voice fierce with pride. As Phoenix Squadron regrouped around the UES Hyperion, James felt a profound shift in the war's dynamics. The Nexari had sought to force humanity to submit or face extinction. Instead, they had driven humanity to evolve on its own terms, combining technology with the very traits the Nexari had dismissed as weaknesses. "All ships return to base," Admiral Blackwood ordered. "We've got wounded to tend to, and every Phoenix pilot needs recovery time. But make no mistake, today, we've shown the galaxy that humanity will never be calculated, predicted, or controlled. We've shown them exactly what we're capable of." As his fighter docked, James disconnected from the neural interface, his mind still buzzing with quantum calculations and combat maneuvers. But beneath the technological enhancement, he felt something purely human, pride in what they had accomplished, and determination for the battles yet to come. The war was far from over, but its nature had fundamentally changed. Humanity was no longer fighting for mere survival. They were fighting to prove that the power of the human spirit could overcome any obstacle, even the cold calculations of a seemingly invincible enemy. Fleet Admiral Victoria Hayes stood before the holographic war table in the newly constructed Terra Prime Command Center, buried deep beneath the Himalayas. The room hummed with activity as officers from every former Earth nation worked together, their previous political differences forgotten in the face of extinction. "Show me the Nexari fleet movements over the past month," she commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing hundreds of enemy vessels repositioning throughout the solar system. But something about their movements caught her attention. "They're not just retreating," she murmured, her cybernetic eye implant analyzing the patterns. "They're reorganizing. Lieutenant Patel, enhance grid sectors 7 through 12. The young officer complied, and the holographic display zoomed in on the outer solar system. Victoria's suspicions were confirmed. The Nexari were adapting their tactics, attempting to counter the success of the Phoenix squadrons. Admiral Blackwood's hologram appeared beside her. "The Security Council is concerned, Victoria. The Nexari have gone quiet since Titan. Too quiet." "They're learning," Victoria replied, manipulating the holographic data with practiced ease. "But not in the way they think they are. Look at their new formation patterns. They're trying to mimic our unpredictability." She highlighted several Nexari battle groups, their once perfect geometric formations now showing subtle variations. "They're attempting to copy human tactical behavior, but they're doing it mathematically. That's their mistake." The door slid open, and Dr. Marcus Thorne entered, accompanied by his research team. The creator of the Phoenix system looked exhausted but determined. "The neural interface upgrades are ready, Admiral. We've managed to increase synchronization efficiency by 40%. Victoria nodded, her mind already calculating the possibilities. Since taking command of the newly formed United Earth Defense Force, she'd been working to integrate the Phoenix technology into every aspect of their military strategy. "Show me the latest combat data from Commander Reeves' squadron," she requested. The holographic display shifted again, showing the quantum-enhanced battle recordings from Titan. "There, freeze that sequence." The image stopped on a moment when Phoenix Squadron had executed what appeared to be a chaotic scatter maneuver. But Victoria's cybernetic eye revealed the underlying pattern. "The Nexari think we've created a superior combat system, but that's not what the Phoenix interface really is," she explained. "We haven't built a better weapon. We've evolved a new way of fighting that they fundamentally cannot comprehend." Dr. Thorne stepped forward, his eyes lighting up with understanding. "Because they're trying to quantify something that can't be quantified, human intuition enhanced by quantum processing." "Exactly," Victoria smiled grimly. "And now we're going to use that against them on a scale they never anticipated. Lieutenant Patel, show me the status of Operation Stormborn." The holographic display transformed, revealing hundreds of ships under construction in orbital shipyards around Earth, Mars, and the surviving colonies. Each vessel incorporated the lessons learned from the Phoenix fighters, their quantum cores designed to synchronize with human consciousness. "The Nexari gave us an ultimatum, evolve or die," Victoria continued. "But they didn't understand what human evolution really means. We don't just adapt, we transform. Every defeat, every loss, every sacrifice has taught us something." She turned to address the command center at large. "The Nexari thought they were pushing us toward extinction. Instead, they've pushed us to become something new. Not just individual pilots linked to their fighters, but an entire civilization learning to merge human creativity with quantum technology." Admiral Blackwood's hologram nodded approvingly. "How soon can we launch the counteroffensive?" Victoria checked the status reports flowing through her cybernetic interface. "The first wave of Stormborn ships will be ready in 72 hours, but I want to do more than just push them back, Helena. I want to take the fight to their doorstep." She manipulated the holographic display one final time, revealing a complex strategic model that her enhanced mind had been developing for weeks. It showed humanity's forces moving not just through normal space, but through quantum dimensions the Nexari thought they alone could access. "They studied us, categorized us, and decided we were insufficient," Victoria declared, her voice carrying throughout the command center. "They thought they could predict everything we might become, but humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our numbers, it's our capacity to become something completely unprecedented." The room fell silent as the implications of her strategy became clear. This wasn't just a plan for defense or even counterattack. It was a blueprint for humanity's emergence as a quantum-enhanced civilization that could challenge the Nexari on every level. Dr. Thorne studied the display with wide eyes. "You're proposing to extend the Phoenix system to our entire military infrastructure. Every ship, every base, every command center. Connected through quantum entanglement, enhanced by human intuition, and coordinated by minds that can think in ways the Nexari can't imagine," Victoria confirmed. "They wanted us to submit to their kind of evolution. Instead, we'll show them ours." As the command center erupted into activity, Victoria felt the weight of history on her shoulders. The next phase of the war would determine not just humanity's survival, but their transformation into something the galaxy had never seen before. The Nexari had called humanity insufficient. Soon, they would learn just how wrong they were. Captain Derek Rhodes stood on the bridge of the UES Hyperion, his consciousness expanded through the ship's quantum core. Around him, the combined fleet of humanity's storm-born ships moved through dimensions that had no names in human language. The neural interface translated impossible geometries into comprehensible sensations, allowing him to navigate the quantum fold with intuitive precision. All ships reporting ready, Captain, Executive Officer Diana Winters announced, her own consciousness synchronized with the ship's tactical systems. Phoenix Squadron is in position. The Nexari home system is just ahead. Through the quantum network, Derek could feel the presence of every ship in the fleet, from the smallest Phoenix fighter to the massive dreadnoughts. Each vessel was an extension of human consciousness, their quantum cores harmonizing with the minds of their crews. What had started with 12 experimental fighters had evolved into humanity's greatest achievement, a symphony of human intuition and quantum technology. Signal from Fleet Admiral Hayes, Diana reported. Operation Stormborn is go. Derek took a deep breath, feeling the anticipation ripple through the quantum network. All ships prepare for synchronized fold jump. Remember your training. Don't think like machines, think like humans. The fleet moved as one, their quantum drives tearing holes in reality. They emerged in the heart of Nexari space, surrounding a massive artificial structure that pulsed with quantum energy, the central node of the Nexari collective consciousness. For a moment, nothing moved. The Nexari, for all their computational power, had never imagined humans could reach their homeworld. Their defense grid remained dormant, their ships motionless in their perfect formations. Then everything happened at once. The Nexari recovered from their surprise, their automated defense systems activating with mathematical precision. But the humans were already moving, their actions guided by instinct and emotion rather than cold calculation. Phoenix Squadron, you have your targets, Derek commanded. Show them what jazz really means. Commander Reeves led his fighters in an impossible dance through the Nexari defenses. Each pilot's consciousness flowed through their ship, moving in ways that defied tactical logic but achieved devastating results. They're adapting to our attack patterns, Diana warned, as the Nexari ships began to shift their formations. Derek smiled grimly. No, they're adapting to what they think our patterns are, Lieutenant Chen now. Jessica Chen's voice rang through the quantum network as she led a strike team of Phoenix fighters through a gap in the Nexari defenses that existed in quantum space for a fraction of a second. Their quantum torpedoes struck the central node's primary power conduits, disrupting the perfect symmetry of its energy field. The Nexari response was immediate and overwhelming. Thousands of ships emerged from fold space, their weapons charging with enough power to vaporize planets. But humanity had expected this. All ships execute Protocol Prometheus, Derek ordered. The entire human fleet shifted their quantum cores into perfect synchronization, not through mathematical precision, but through shared emotion and purpose. The neural interface translated their collective will into pure energy, creating a quantum resonance that the Nexari had never encountered. Through the quantum network, Derek felt Admiral Hayes' approval. Their ships weren't just fighting as individuals. They were fighting as one consciousness, bound together by something the Nexari couldn't compute, human spirit. Multiple quantum fluctuations detected, Diana reported. The Nexari central node is destabilizing. The massive structure began to pulse erratically, its perfect geometric patterns dissolving into chaos. The Nexari ships around them started to move erratically, their tactical algorithms failing to cope with the quantum disruption. Then something unprecedented happened. A transmission cut through all frequencies, both conventional and quantum. The voice that spoke was different from any Nexari communication they had heard before. It held emotion. What are you? the voice asked, genuine uncertainty in its tone. Derek stood from his command chair, his consciousness still linked to the Hyperion systems. We are humanity. You called us insufficient, but you never understood what we really are. We're not just biological or technological, we're both and neither, and something entirely new. Through the quantum network, he could sense the Nexari collective consciousness struggling to comprehend what humanity had become. Their perfect calculations couldn't account for beings that could think both rationally and irrationally, that could merge with machines while retaining their humanity. Your evolution is impossible, the Nexari voice stated. It defies all known parameters. That's what makes us human, Derek replied. We don't evolve according to parameters. We evolve through determination, through creativity, through sheer stubborn will. You gave us a choice between submission and extinction. We chose to become something else entirely. The quantum network hummed with the combined consciousness of humanity's fleet. In that moment, Derek could feel every human mind linked through the Phoenix system, not losing their individuality, but strengthening it through connection. Stand down your forces, he commanded. End this war. Join us in discovering what real evolution means. For long moments, the Nexari collective was silent. Then, one by one, their ships began powering down their weapons. The central node's quantum signature shifted, its rigid patterns becoming more fluid, more human. We accept, the Nexari voice said, now filled with something that sounded almost like wonder. As the quantum network carried the news of victory back to Earth, Derek felt a profound sense of achievement. Humanity had done more than survive. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward, a path that combined the best of biological and technological evolution. They had proved that the human spirit, when pushed to its limits, could achieve the impossible. Not through perfect calculation or overwhelming force, but through the unique combination of determination, creativity, and the willingness to become something more than anyone thought possible. The war was over. The age of human quantum civilization had begun.